All right, friends, welcome back. Another episode, Sammy and Marissa's husbands. We'll go over the agenda a little bit, talk lives of recent, some college basketball, NBA basketball, random questions, Pats peeves, and then close it off with some closing comments. So lives of recent, what's been up?
Me just working. I'm back to full time now, so that's good because I'm poor.
Or
Um, Taxes are due Tuesday.
yes, I think so, but you weren't working full time. I guess that was like an off season thing.
Yeah, basically the company that I work for, who shall not be named, they kind of like hemorrhage money in the off season,
Makes sense.
just because everything's down, and then they make a shitload of money in the on season.
Right.
And since I have quote unquote other ways of making money, they cut me down to 28 hours or 4 days a week.
Well, technically, everyone has other ways of making money.
Yes, it was basically their way of letting me make the decision myself instead of telling me that that was what was going to happen. So I appreciate that,
Okay.
but also I had to dip into my tax money a little bit.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. But I mean, that's why it's nice to have a little extra for taxes.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. You're talking about tax money that you have to pay back.
Yeah, I have to pay 5,000 this year.
Damn.
Yeah, it's last year I paid 1,800 and the
Yeah.
year before that I paid 32,000. So,
Because it was a good year.
because it was a good year. Yeah, so last year paying 5,000 it was a pretty solid year.
Yeah,
Just,
true.
combination, but
For sure.
still sucks though.
It does suck paying the man.
But I mean, everybody else has to pay it every week, so it's not like,
That's true. I mean, we're all still paying it. It's just a matter of when you pay it. Paying it at a lump sum is pretty tough, though.
oh yeah, and I also paid 3,800 throughout the year, and then I have to pay another 5,000. So
Yeah, yeah, I guess I mean, all in all, you want to be paying a lump sum of taxes because that means you've done decent in real estate. So,
yeah, yeah,
all in all, could be worse. But yeah, taxes are due, so that's coming up.
yeah, and I would have paid it already, but and for some reason the federal tax, like I paid the state tax, you can pay that online, like right on the website, um, like through the tax packet I get with my accountant, and I have to send a check for the federal taxes, and I have 25 checkbooks. They're I see them all year. Haven't been able to find one for 2 weeks. So
So,
I'm gonna have to go to the bank and say, hey, can I get a starter check? Because you don't
yeah,
want to send an official check because if the official check gets lost, then the money's just burned.
right.
Yeah, so that's pretty
That sucks.
three.
I do not have a checkbook, and I need to get one because the way they want us to pay our rent, there's like a convenience fee to pay my rent. I don't remember the actual percentage, but it was like 60 extra dollars to pay with a card.
It's probably like 3%.
It was dumb.
They don't let you do a bank draft.
Truthfully, there's been so much shit going on that I really haven't looked into it too much. All I know is they needed us to pay our like I forget the term, but when you're if you're prorated, I had to pay my prorated rent for the month of April so that I could get the door code to get into my house. So I just needed to pay it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that
so convenience fee, extra $60 on the rent.
that was how it was at our apartment too. But you could do a bank draft for free,
Oh,
or you could do money order or check. Which I'm like, for some reason, I'm kind of like a boomer. I'm against bank drafts. I don't let any bank drafts anything. So I always paid with a money order when we lived at the apartment.
I mean, that's fair. It's just a little extra work on you. Um, but I mean, all in all, same, same.
And them.
True. Which do you think there'd be a convenience fee for that?
Right. Like they still have to either put it through their machine, like a lot of places like that. I'm sure they have like a machine where you can just run the checks through. I know like bigger businesses usually have one of those, but they still got to physically do that, or they got to go to the bank. And you know what? If I'm paying you money, you should have to work for it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Do a job.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so it looks like would you guys go to Carolina Beach or something last night?
Yeah, my cousin Allie, her and her boyfriend are in town, and his twin brother.
Hmm.
So we had dinner at Rucker John's, and then we went to Sea Witch. But I'm not drinking right now.
Right?
So her boyfriend, who I've partied with a couple times, and his brother were immediately pressuring me to drink.
Yeah, naturally.
But I have, I'm an ox, I'm an oak, whatever. I'm unwavering. So I, of course, at dinner got a virgin pina colada and strawberry daiquiri mixed. So a nice pink, like smoothie thing. And so that really helped with them bullying me.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's
And then
super,
yeah,
super fun.
yeah, three-letter word, three-letter
Yeah,
word.
super
And then
fun.
and then when we went out, I was drinking Sam Adams NA and yeah, but I don't really care about that. I think that, if I'm gonna go out, I want to drink something
That's fair.
at least like communally.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's socially anyway. So like
Yeah.
you're not really drinking to get drunk. You're drinking for like the social aspect. Like Sam will do that a lot when we go out to the bar and she doesn't really feel like drinking. She'll just get like a soda water with a lemon. And it kind of looks like she has like a mixed drink, but it's just a soda water.
Yeah, that part I'm like, okay, like at least you can participate.
Yeah, for sure.
And if I drink, because some of them are like 0.5%, like some of
Hmm.
them have like a little alcohol in them. So if in theory, if I drank like 40 of them, I could probably get drunk.
In theory, yeah, it'd be expensive because those things aren't cheaper than regular beers.
Yeah, and I was kind of pissed off because neither place had Heineken zeros,
Mm.
and I kind of we know one of the waitresses at Rutgers because my mom goes there so much, so I kind of gave her some pushback, and I was like, I why don't you go back there and ask if they have them because I know they have them, and they did not have them, and she was
Classic.
annoyed with me.
She probably just went
Yeah,
back there and didn't ask and then came back and was like, yeah, we don't
no,
have
probably yeah,
them.
yeah, no, but I like almost every bar has them now because there was a really hard push for those Heineken zeros.
Interesting. Yeah, when we were cleaning up the house to move out, I had one Heineken. I don't remember from when, but I had one Heineken bottle and I threw it away.
You didn't even drink it.
No, it was it was like mass chaos. It was like a mass exodus, and we were just packing shit. And I wasn't gonna just pack in the U-Haul and then just let it break for some reason. So I just, I didn't even take a sip of it. I just took the cap off, poured it out, and threw it away.
My God, the disrespect, dude.
My God, man.
My God, man, that is unbelievable, man.
Yeah, but speaking of, we've just been on the go nonstop. So, we did our vacation. We went to Portugal and Spain, specifically Lisbon and Barcelona. In Lisbon, we were there 3 days. Basically, did everything you can think of. We had drinks at rooftop bars. We had food at little hole in the wall restaurants. Walked through castles and churches that were built in like the 800s, but it's nuts to even think about. Um, Walked so much, and the hills out in Lisbon are brutal. Like you wouldn't really think it's very hilly, but it's super hilly. Hills everywhere. Um, Drank basically no water for the entire vacation. Big things in Portugal. Gingina, which is like a Portuguese liqueur, which is infused with cherries. And it's like 18 to 24% alcohol kind of deal. It's like a liqueur. And they kind of drink them like all throughout the day. It's like little shots of almost like wine tasting. Kind of tastes like cherry cough medicine. But like
And
the,
you liked it?
it was kind of good.
Okay.
I kind of fuck with cherry cough medicine. But so that is big. The Gingina. It's specifically in Lisbon. That's like the big thing in Lisbon. But Portugal as a whole, port wine is big. So we had a lot of port wine. Basically, it's wine that's only completed about half of the fermentation process, and then it's fortified with brandy. So it's similar to like a liqueur kind of deal. But that's like 20%, so it's way stronger than regular wine. And it's almost got like a little chocolate flavor. Like so they say it's very good for like a dessert thing. So it's an after dinner. What are those things called? Not aperitif because that's before dinner, right?
It's a digestif.
Right. So I don't know if it's an actual digestif because I don't know if it helps you digest your food, but it's like a dessert kind of deal after dinner. So we spent 3 days there. It was awesome. Portugal's a lot older than, or Lisbon's a lot older looking than Barcelona was. Barcelona's very much more big city. Um, Barcelona was awesome. We had tapas, which is basically like little plates or kind of like appetizers, and then tons of just regular wine. So like the tapas we'd go to every restaurant, we'd get like bread, mussels, sardines. Sam would get the anchovy stuffed olives basically every time. They had good shrimp, and then like Iberian pork, which is basically like salty ham. It's kind of like Spain's version of country ham. It was
Okay.
good. Um, but the wine was just so inexpensive over there. Like I rarely paid over $5 a glass for wine. And that's like if
Oh,
I was getting a fancy glass of wine, it was over $5. So most of the time we just got like bottles. Because I spend like 18 bucks on a bottle of wine, which is like sometimes one, if not two glasses of wine over here. So I drank tons of wine. In Barcelona, we basically did the same thing. We saw more old stuff. Saw the remains of a Roman wall when Barcelona was just a Roman colony called Barcino. Um, we toured and tasted a winery that opened like in the year like 19 or 19 900, excuse me, which was nuts. It was kind of like in a castle. It was pretty cool. Um, Saw like a bunch of famous buildings with super cool architecture by this dude named Antoni Gaudi. He's pretty famous. So we saw and
yeah, I
toured a
know.
couple of those things. In total, for the whole vacation we walked, I looked at my app on my phone from my watch, 71.58 miles from Monday through Tuesday.
That's crazy.
Is that not an absurd amount of walking for a vacation?
My, my feet would be broken, dude.
Dude, we were all over the place. And a lot of it was just like from the Airbnb like to the metro and then from the metro to where we were going. And then sometimes we take like the scenic route. We were just like all over the place. We were smoked at the end of the day. It was crazy. Um, but it was weird, like the culture over there was different. So very late night culture. Um, so we'd like go during the day. And then at like 6, 7 o'clock, we would come back to the Airbnb and like basically take a nap for a couple hours. Which was super weird. We'd nap from like 6 to 8. Then we'd go back out, get like drinks before dinner, and didn't even eat dinner till like 10 o'clock every night. Um, so dinner at 10, and then we'd get like some drinks after. So we were like every single night was up till like 2 o'clock in the morning. And then we'd sleep until probably like 8, get up, do it all over again. But so I feel like that's just what they do over there. They don't sleep that much for like their normal sleep, but then they always take like a nap in the evenings. So
This is the
it was different.
siesta, right?
Siesta, yeah. I think siesta is traditionally more at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But we were definitely doing it a little later on, just because we were trying to do so much stuff to like see, and just like see everything that we could in those 2 weeks. Obviously, you need, or not 2 weeks. We're only there for like 8 days total, but we would need weeks in both spots to see everything. So there was definitely some stuff that we had to prioritize what we wanted to see and wanted to miss out on. But overall, it was dope. Overall, it was
Yeah,
super dope.
I think it's cool that you went to Portugal too, because you don't really hear about people doing that.
No, and I think it was definitely different. So like the differences between where we were in Portugal and where we were in Spain. Like obviously there's so much more to both of those countries, but like Lisbon is their capital of Portugal. And it was just so much older than Barcelona was, older appearing at least. Um, like Barcelona almost reminded me of New York City a little bit. Like it was
Oh, okay.
newer buildings. Um, city blocks that were very square and rectangular. Whereas Lisbon almost is like nothing was updated since it was originally founded. It seemed like it was just buildings built on top of each other. Um, Kind of what you think of when you think of like an old European town, kind of. Barcelona wasn't really like that. It was almost more modern than I anticipated it to be. Obviously, there was old things and old stuff about it, like the cathedrals and the Roman remains and stuff like that, which was sick. But very different places, like very different. Both
When you
right
sent
there on
pictures of,
uh
oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, I was just gonna continue, but what were you saying?
Like when you sent pictures when you guys were in Lisbon, it kind of reminded me of places I've seen in Italy, like the
Hmm.
streets, like close together with that, the red brick or yeah, I guess it's kind of like a clay brick roof.
Right. Yeah, that's very much how Lisbon was. It reminded me of what I imagine Italy to look like. Um, in the hills, everything built on top of each other, very narrow streets, with that like red roof aspect of it. Barcelona wasn't really like that, much flatter. Obviously, there's like mountains on the backside of Barcelona, but in the actual city, it's very flat right there by like the Mediterranean.
So not like Atlanta.
Not like Atlanta, even the slightest.
Yeah, Atlanta very hilly. They will tell you it's flat, but very hilly.
Especially if you're running through it. Also, you see like no one running recreationally in Lisbon. A lot more people running recreationally in Barcelona. So I thought it was different. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like but did Lisbon seem like slower paced overall, like more laid back?
Um, the locals seemed much older in Lisbon, whereas like the locals in Barcelona were very youthful and it was like a very young culture. Whereas Lisbon, it was just like the locals that you saw were very old.
Okay.
But just some observations from traveling. Um, Way less fat people, like almost no fat people. And
I
it
think that's
probably has to do with something about how much you have to walk just day to day. Um, I think that's generally like city culture as well. Like if you live in the city, there's probably less large people because it's not as accessible. You have to walk places, you have to go upstairs, like it's not as accommodating to be a big person over there.
yeah, if you live in a walkable city.
For
Like a
sure.
place like a place like Charlotte, like it's not like walkable like that.
No, on the outskirts, Charlotte's definitely
Yeah.
like more like Wilmington, I'd say. Um, but in those walkable cities like a New York or a DC, where it's like there's not just like driveways at every house.
Yeah.
You got to walk places. So like being big doesn't really you get your exercise normally. You don't have to like go to the gym. But like one thing that stuck out is like we were coming up the stairs from the metro one time. Um, so coming up the stairs from the metro, we turn a corner and there's a down escalator immediately as we turn the corner. And nobody's going to that because we're just coming from down. So we're going up the stairs, down escalator immediately on our left. There's a stairwell in the middle, and then there's a up escalator on the far side. Whereas like in America, every single person coming up those stairs would have just walked to the up escalator. But that didn't happen. Like every single person just walked up the stairs. So
Yeah, it's a
like
culture.
it's a culture thing. And like it was just 10 more feet. Um, but it was just weird to me that we were like all walking up the stairs, and like me and Sam we're gonna be the only two American people that go and walk up the escalator. You know what I'm saying? So that was definitely different. Um, Another thing is like grocery stores. They had like grocery stores. They obviously weren't like Harris Teeter, these big ass grocery stores that we went to, but we were in Walmart today actually getting some groceries for our new place, and we saw like, you go into Walmart and there's always see people in those like motorized wheelchairs. Well, like that's something I think the European mind just can't comprehend is motorized wheelchairs in grocery stores. Um, it's kind of sad, honestly.
Well, America, I think like the two countries that are always like at the top of the obesity charts are us and France.
Interesting.
France, I think the food is like very rich,
Okay. I guess I could see that.
and
Um,
us just like um
Us, I think it's the portions.
portions, what they put in our food. Also, the like America is a country of excess.
It's definitely a country of excess. Um, and just like the convenience that we have. You know what I mean? Like people are at home, they walk 10 feet to get in their car. They go park their car in the front row of their work. They walk into their work building, they sit there for 8 hours and they drive straight home and then do nothing the rest of the day. So they literally walk like 800 steps the entire day. You know what I mean? And I don't think it's like that in places like where we were.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know what those people do for work.
Yeah, I think tourism's very big. So everything you do, all the attractions, all the museums, all the wineries, all the castles and churches, like they all have tour guides that do it. And like they'll be like, oh, an English tour, there'll be a Spanish tour, a French tour, etc. And like I think a lot of the locals probably do some sort of day job and then also do like the tours in their spare time, like on the weekends and stuff. Which I mean,
Like side
why
gig type
not? A
shit.
little side hustle. Yeah. So yeah, I don't really know, but we did meet a couple people in Barcelona when we were out getting drinks one time, and they were saying like we didn't really ask what they did for work, but they spoke pretty good English. That's one thing. A lot of people speak English like pretty well, to be honest. Obviously, there's the accents, but they speak very good English. So we were just talking to them, and they were saying like uh, people will come over from the US and just like live in Barcelona and they'll still work their like work from home job in the US and they're making tons more money than the people that are just working locally in Barcelona, which I mean, kind of a pro tip.
I mean, that's kind of similar to what people do here. They work in, the Northeast or California, remote job, and then they move uh, down south and, destabilize the housing market.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Another observation is they drive like absolute maniacs over there in Lisbon and in Barcelona. Um, it was just mayhem anytime we got in a car. And the only time we really were in Ubers was from the airport to the Airbnb and then vice versa. So, but it was just absolute mayhem the whole time. Like, there has to be more deaths from car accidents in Europe than there is in the United States. Like, there has to be.
Well, if it's like you're saying it is, there's probably not as many drivers.
Well, I don't know. I mean, yes and no. I know that it was packed. Like when we were going, like there was traffic both times. When we were coming from the airport in Lisbon to the Airbnb, like there was traffic. And same from Barcelona. So there obviously are people that drive, and I think those people more so live on the outskirts, but like a lot of it is Ubers and taxis. Um, but we did the Ubers because apparently taxis will scam Americans pretty bad. They like won't turn their meter on and they'll take some like crazy way through the city that takes a lot longer so that you have to pay more. So we just stuck with the Ubers, which really was Bolt over there because Bolt is like a more available app than Uber. Same thing, it's just a different company, I guess. Um, but driving like there's no lines on the roads, and I don't know if that's because they're just worn off from people just not obeying the lines. But even if there were lines, like they were just ignored. People were just in and out, driving in the middle of the road, honking at people. It was nuts.
Yeah, I honestly don't like, and the couple times I've been to New York City, I did not like taxis.
Yeah. That's what
It's
everybody
just
says is like avoid the taxis if you can,
like you got my life in your hands, bro.
for sure. And they drive like crazy. Another thing, it just kind of feels lawless over there. Like, I don't know, you just get like a kind of a feeling walking around that you can just do anything you want and there would be like no repercussions. Like there was zero police presence. We rarely saw police officers, and if they were, if we did see them, then they were just kind of like there by themselves. Um, so that was definitely different. Um, I don't know how many times I was asked if I wanted cocaine or weed by people in the street. Like, can't even count. Like, so many times. I don't know if I just scream American, which I really didn't try to give off like the whole American vibes. I guess you can kind of just tell. Um, but very lawless. I
Are you
obviously did not partake in any uh European cocaine or weed, but I was asked, I was offered a lot.
did it feel unsafe?
No, it didn't feel unsafe at all. I mean, even when it was like nighttime and we were walking down like really narrow side streets and alleys, spray paint everywhere. Like I never got like a weird vibe of like shady characters. Like, oh shit,
So
maybe we
not
shouldn't.
not like America.
Not like America. I mean, there was definitely like it was dark and it was side streets where some people might feel unsafe, but I didn't get like the unsafe vibes from the people that were there. I guess if that makes sense.
I'm assuming the laws are stricter over there for weapons also.
I would assume. I don't really know. I didn't have mine because obviously I didn't fly with it, but I would assume that they have much stricter gun laws. That's something that the European mind probably can't comprehend either. It's just everyone owning a gun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's much different way of life over there
Oh, for sure. And then
from what I've heard.
another thing that was different is like customer service is not a thing. It's like not existent. Um, Not because they're not friendly, but that's just not how they do it. Like tipping isn't really a big thing. Like we would usually leave a couple euros, but locals I don't think do that. It's very much like an Americanized thing. Um, but like, so for instance, you go into a restaurant and like you come to your table and you sit down, the waiter would come up to you and like you would have to order everything you wanted for the entirety of the meal, like right when you saw the waiter, because like he or she was not coming up to you again. Once they brought you your stuff, like you did not see them until you were trying to flag them down to pay. And it wasn't like, hey, do you want a refill on your water? Like, do you want another drink or anything like that? It was like you went in there, they're providing a service, and that's it. Um, yeah, and I don't think it was because they were rude. I just think that's how things are. So like they'd come up to us and I'd be like, "Can I get a glass of wine, a beer?" And then we ordered like four different tapas or something like that. And then I would have to like flag them down when we were trying to pay. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, that's pretty wild actually, especially because I like drink so much, like even like just water or whatever. I feel like I would just get thirsty.
Yeah.
At
It
least there's
was
no
different.
small talk bullshit.
Yeah, there's no small talk. There's no like coming up to your table to ask like how's everything tasting? Like Do you need a refill? Like none of that. That did not happen one time. Not one person asked me if my food was good because it's just it's something that they do, you know.
I
It's
like that.
different. But but yeah, other than that, we came back, had like 3 days, and then we moved to Missouri. Um, dogs were freaking out because we slept in an empty house on our mattress in the living room the night before, and then we just woke up, tossed a mattress in the U-Haul, and left. Um, so we're generally pretty settled. The movers are coming tomorrow to bring the rest of our stuff. Um, House is pretty sweet. We got like a basketball and pickleball court that's right behind my backyard. So I'm definitely going to terrorize the neighborhood kids by beating them in one-on-one, obviously.
As
And
you
then me and
should.
Sam are going to go get pickleball rackets and start playing pickleball probably Saturday mornings, I think.
Is it a house or is it an apartment?
It's a house, but it's almost in like an apartment complex type deal. So it's a house. We have 3 bedrooms, a backyard, a garage, and it's not a shared space with anyone. But the neighborhood just gives off like apartment vibes. Like the houses are pretty close together. They have like the sin because we live in like a circle. And then we have like the basketball courts. There's cornhole. There's like a grill out in the back, almost like Clear Run was, where they had that little central area.
That's
Um,
pretty cool.
yeah. And then on the way to Missouri, I finally listened to the Red Clay Strays album that Mike wanted us to review.
That's a good album.
It was a good album. And I know he asked us probably a year ago to listen to it. I don't know if you listened to it or not, but it was Made by These Moments. That's the album that I listened to. And I actually liked it. It was good. I downloaded 4 songs on my playlist. I downloaded Wanna Be Loved, No One Else Like Me, Drowning, and Moments.
Moments is a good song. I don't remember much about the album though, truthfully, because I listened to it a year ago.
Yeah, probably like a good friend would when he asked you immediately.
Hell
Oh
yeah.
man, that's funny. All right, well, let's jump into a little bit of a commercial break, and then I have some traveling random questions and Pat's peeves before we get into the regular random questions and Pat's peeves.
All right. Un comercial un poco diferente para todos ustedes hoy. En español para honrar el regreso de Trey a América. El guerrero El Guido me ha informado que Wesley ha perdido otro campeonato de baloncesto. And welcome back to the English portion of the podcast. A little bit different there. We're going to try and get Trey to decipher what I said, and I can read it slower if you want. We can go sentence by sentence, or
That would have definitely helped because once you pass the first sentence, you completely lost me. Something about a commercial, um, and then something about Wes.
okay, two things correct. We'll go with the first sentence right now.
Okay,
Un comercial un poco diferente para todos ustedes hoy.
something about a commercial that's a little different today than previous ones.
Yes, pretty much. A little
Okay,
different commercial for you all today.
okay.
En español para honrar el regreso de Trey a América.
Uh, Something about in Spanish because I'm getting back to America.
To honor Trey's return to America in Spanish.
All right, I like it.
El guerrero El Guido me ha informado que Wesley ha perdido otro campeonato de baloncesto.
Yeah, so I don't know what the first part of that sentence is, but something about for Wes and other friends.
The chosen warrior has informed me that Wesley has lost another basketball championship.
Okay. Oh, the chosen warrior. I love
El Guerrero El Guido.
it. Yeah, definitely didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, so I guess West lost his other championship.
Oh, okay. Wes is just taking the L's, and Mike is just taking all the W's.
Yeah, it's uh it's pretty crazy. Él lo sabe todo. He knows all.
He knows all knowing. Um, all right, well, so let's jump back into it. I had some random questions that just relate to traveling a little bit, stuff that I was thinking about when I was in the airport or whatever it may be. So, first one, did all airports become more strict after 9/11, or was it just the US?
Well, obviously, other countries don't have TSA. They probably have their own um, iteration of it. But I would say probably all countries got stricter because if something like that can happen in America, it can happen anywhere.
Yeah, for sure. So, like, the process was generally the same. Like, you go through security, you take your shoes off, you take your laptops and stuff out of your bag, whatever. Um, but I'm wondering, like, was that chain event, was 9/11 what caused it, or did other countries like make it happen later on after they saw what the US was doing, or were they like 9/11, oh shit, we need to like change our stuff?
Or does every country have their own 9/11?
Or does ever, yeah, exactly. Very, very possible.
Yeah.
That just
I
kind of
would say
talks about how
probably,
ignorant we are to other countries.
yeah. I would say, I mean, and also it is kind of um, trying to think of the word. This is not the word I was looking for, but it's kind of typical of Americans to think that the whole world revolves around American events.
Yeah, they,
Um,
they, they don't.
well, it hasn't been proven otherwise. But yeah, I would think 9/11 was probably like an eye opener for everybody.
Mm,
'Cause I
okay.
don't think airplane terrorism, well, that's wrong. Pearl Harbor, buddy. I was gonna say I don't think airplane terrorism was really big before that, but
Yeah.
maybe not civilian targets, but Pearl River with the kamikaze pilots.
Yeah, that was definitely more military, like focused than civilian focused. Um, but yeah, okay, next question. Who gets the armrest on the plane? So like generally most planes are like window seat, aisle seat, middle seat. How do you navigate the armrest situation? Because obviously
Uh,
they're shared armrests.
yeah, so I'll always be like if it's Marissa and I and we have the window and the middle seat, I'll sit in the middle so she doesn't have to sit next to somebody and she'll lean kind of on the like the window wall and then I'll lean on her armrest. But if it was the way it should be, if no one knows anyone, I think the middle seat should get the two inside armrests. Outside gets the outside aisle armrest, and inside gets the armrest towards the window. That's how it should be because the middle seat sucks. But I don't
The
know.
middle
I
seat
mean,
sucks. So we we kind of went cheap on our tickets and we didn't get to sit together because you had to pay extra to choose your seat, which kind of sucks. So me and Sam both had middle seats on the way back from Barcelona to Philadelphia, which blew. In hindsight, wish I would have just paid the extra money to get an aisle seat with Sam, but it is what it is. Didn't happen, but I got the armrest because for one, I'm like a bigger dude on the plane, and it just kind of like I can't fit in that middle seat. You know what I'm saying? So like I had to have my arms in the armrest. And like if I made the people to my left and my right upset by taking the armrest, I don't really care. I needed them. But like Sam, when she was in the middle seat, obviously Sam's a smaller girl. Um, the girl next to her was like putting her arm on the armrest, so it was making Sam uncomfortable. And then she said she ultimately like kind of just nudged her way through and got it. It's like you have to have it. But yes, I'm in the same boat as you. I think the middle seat person should get both arms because you just kind of have to.
Yeah, or the person who's more outgoing or just, more physically dominant. Because what are you gonna do? Fight somebody on a plane?
Yes, no, for sure. But I don't think that's the way it should be.
Of
Now,
course
does
not.
it happen like that?
The middle seat should get it.
Yeah, okay. As long as we're on the same page. And then do you use Google Maps or Apple Maps?
I use I guess Apple Maps because the Maps app on my phone, so I guess Apple Maps.
Yeah, Apple Maps. I usually use Apple Maps as well. Just like if I'm putting in directions to go to a regular place and just driving, I usually use Apple Maps. But when I went over there, I was doing some research about like, places to go, blah, blah, blah. And Google Maps just seemed a lot better. So like for one thing that's good about it is you can like download the whole map. So like I downloaded the map of Barcelona and the map of Lisbon. That way, even if I didn't have service over there, I could still pull up the map and use it. So I think that's a good feature. And then also, like if you Google like best restaurants in Lisbon and you want to save it, you can just save something from Google straight to your Apple Maps. So like you could be like, oh, that looks good, hit save, and then it populates as like a little food icon on your maps. So you like have it saved there for like reference for the next time. So I thought that
That
was
is,
cool.
I like
So I
having.
might be I might be transitioning to Google Maps just because it is. And that almost feels a little bit like the debate on Spotify and Apple Music.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think that could be a good question for the poll today.
It could be. So I
I
feel
do
like
that.
I'm
I don't. Sorry, I don't use the maps too much anyway because a lot of like in Wilmington, my deliveries are usually pretty much the same. Uh, I don't really go anywhere new in Wilmington, and even if it is new, I kind of have a pretty general idea of where it's going to be. My delivery in Fayetteville, I don't need the map because I go there every Thursday. Even getting to Myrtle Beach, I don't use the map until you're 80% of the way there. So like you're in a lot of different places than me. You move around more, so it's probably more like I see the same shit.
true, and you lived in Wilmington your whole life, so like just getting to regular places, like you don't have to use the map. Um, that's definitely not the case for me. Like I never truly figured out Columbus. Now if I was going to like Lowe's or if I was going to like our favorite spots that we always went to, I wouldn't need the map. But if I was just going, somewhere random in Columbus, I always had to use the map because I never really figured it out. Um, Colorado, I kind of figured out because we were there long enough. Missouri, I generally figured out because it's so small. But Columbus, I definitely never figured it out.
And also
Um,
you're also you know, self-proclaimed not very good at directions.
I'm a little directionally challenged, especially like driving in a car. Probably because I just don't pay attention the first time I go somewhere because I'm relying too much on my maps. So if I would just actually look at my surroundings and like, oh, okay, yeah, I turn left here at this intersection. This is what that looks like. Then yeah, I'd probably be a little better. But it's kind of how the cookie crumbles.
And also you've never had to be a delivery driver. Like being a delivery driver, you can't be on your maps every time you go somewhere. It's just you it just slows you down.
True, and I feel like it's kind of like a trade type thing. Like, do you lose respect for other truckers that have their maps up all the time?
Definitely city drivers. Like
Yeah,
if you're in the same city every day and you need your fucking maps to go somewhere you've been, if you've been there 2 times, you don't need the map anymore.
fair
In my
assessment.
opinion. Like if I've been somewhere twice and it's in Wilmington, obviously if you're in a different city and you've been somewhere a couple times, you're not gonna remember a different city. That's totally different. Like if you're an out of town driver and you're like on the highway and shit, totally different. You
Yeah,
got
for
to use
sure.
your. But if you're in town and you've been somewhere twice and you don't know how to get there, I personally think you're a little slow.
A little slow. Okay, I like it. A little feud between truckers. Um,
Yeah.
All right, and then some traveling Pats peeves. Um, Not walking on the right. So like so many times with like really crowded streets and you're trying to navigate through and obviously I'm walking and I have Sam in front of me and like there's just people just all on both sides. And like I know this isn't America, but if we just all stayed on the right side, everything would go a lot smoother.
Well, is it was Portugal and Spain, was it driving on the left side of the road or was it?
No, no, that's like just like the UK. And I think it's just like the island. And then I think Australia as well.
Oh yeah, we did talk about this, but I don't think we knew about the other countries in Europe. So now you
Yeah, no,
know what's
I
going on.
didn't know that originally. I thought it was like in Europe, they all drove on the left-hand side of the road, which is not the case. Um, I'm
So
pretty sure it's like
there's no reason for them to not
there's no
walk
reason, no
on the right.
reason at all.
Yeah.
Just in
See,
the freaking
that's
way.
what I was thinking. I was thinking maybe, it's a left side driving country, so it's flipped.
No, it's not like that. I would understand it if it was. And the next one, like the metro. I don't know necessarily if this is how the metro is in the States because I haven't really had tons of experience with the metro. Obviously, we've done it in New York and DC and places like that. But like you're on the metro or you're waiting to get on, whatever. The doors open and it is just like a free for all. Like people trying to get off, people trying to get on in these narrow doors. Like no one just waits for the people that are already on the metro to get off before they start trying to go on. So it's just like an absolute just merge of people trying to get off and then trying to get on all at the same time. And it is absolutely infuriating. Like if we would just wait for the people that are just standing by the door in the metro to get off, we'd have a free walkway to get on the metro. But it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I could see that bothering you.
It bothered me big time. Bothered
Yeah.
me big
I mean,
time.
just those type of areas in general usually just stress me the fuck out.
Yeah, it was stressful. I feel like generally, if you can navigate the metro system in a foreign country, you can do anything in this world. It was pretty wild at times. I'm like trying to figure out which direction we're going, and like I don't understand any of the words that are in there. They're speaking Spanish over the intercoms. It's just nuts. Um, but but yeah, so we ultimately figured it out. It may have taken us a little bit, but we ultimately figured it out. And then another Pat's peeve is people getting on a plane and then wanting to switch seats. So we get on the plane, everybody goes to their assigned seats, and there's always like this one older woman that's like, I have to have an aisle seat. And I'm like, no, you don't. And if you did, you should have paid for it. Like you don't just get an aisle seat because you're a little older. Like that's not how that works here. I'm sorry.
I don't mind if they politely ask, but when they act like they're entitled to something, it really pisses me off. Like, also, if you need it that bad, just pay for it.
Right, that's my thing. If you need it that bad and you know you need it, just pay for it. It didn't happen to me, so it like wasn't that big of an issue. But like if I was in an aisle seat and then some lady was like, "Oh, I have to get an aisle seat because I can't sit in the middle," um, and they asked me to switch on my 8 hour flight, like I'm gonna say no. It's an 8 hour flight. I'm not gonna sit in the middle if I have an aisle seat.
Hell no.
Yeah. So I thought that was crazy. Big pet peeve. Even though it didn't happen to me, I was frustrated. Just like listening to the conversation that was happening. And then last pet peeve is the absolute worst travelers. You know, people say Americans are the worst, yada yada yada. Italians are the worst travelers in history.
You don't like the guineas out there traveling, bro?
No. And it was like
I'm
not
Italian. I can
like
say that. You try and cancel me. I could say it. I'm Italian.
not like not like Italians like American Italians. It was like straight up like Italian people from Italy. And it's very much the same in America as it is there. They're super loud. Um, they
Careful. Careful.
I'm just I'm just being real. Super loud. right? That's the same in America as it is in Italy, and they always are with a huge group of people.
You just gotta be careful. You got three Italians that listen to this.
I mean, look, I'm just being real. It's just a fact of life. Um,
Can you name the three Italians?
you, Wes, who
This
else
one's gonna,
listens?
this one's gonna trip you up because he doesn't go out of his, he doesn't have an Italian last name or go out of his way to let everybody know he's Italian.
So I could see it being Mike, but I don't think it's Mike.
No,
Uh,
it's not that white bastard.
I don't know if Ed still listens, but I could see him having a little bit of an Italian background.
That's actually possible, but Ed's not who I'm thinking of.
So it's got to be Kevin.
No, it's not Kevin.
Kevin's like a Viking.
Yeah,
Is
they don't
Corey
make
have some
Italian. They don't make Italian.
Italian heritage?
Not some Italian. His grandfather's name is Vito. Like he's very Italian.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yep.
Corey doesn't give off the stereotypical Italian vibes.
No.
Not very loud, kind of like an introvert, I'd say, until he gets around his friends, which I feel like is not a very Italian thing.
And he's not obnoxious. Well, we're just kind of bashing Italians, but he's not obnoxious at all.
Yeah, yeah, right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't
I,
have
I would
expected.
say I would say myself, I'm a little obnoxious, but I don't think that's because I'm Italian. I think it's just because my family's loud.
No, I think it is. I think it's genetic.
Oh, you don't think I had a choice?
There's certain things, like me and Mike were talking about this. There's certain things that you're just predisposed of, and one of the things you're predisposed for is just being obnoxious.
Me personally being
Yeah,
predisposed for?
you personally, yeah.
What are the other ones?
Ugly.
Nah,
That
see, already because be, because I'm objectively handsome. Like you could say fat, you could say all those
that's
things.
not objective at all. I think you need to look up the
You
definitions
could
of
say I have
subjective and objective.
you could say I have, acne scars. You could say I'm heavy. But any woman who looked at me, I might not be your flavor, but objectively, I'm a handsome man.
No, that's very subjective. That's not even
Incorrect.
objective a little bit.
I know it's objective because there's never been a woman who's thought I was ugly.
See, that's I think people not being Italian and not being obnoxious, so they try and make you feel better.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm classically handsome. I'm kind of
That's
like
just
dirty handsome.
that's just good old Southern hospitality is what that is.
I, Side note, I don't believe in Southern hospitality.
No, go to Europe. It might be
Okay,
fake. It might be fake hospitality, but it is at least hospitality.
well, see that I understand the difference between objective and subjective, but something that I thought was funny listening to the pod, I think 2 weeks ago, I think it was Mike's commercial where he definitely got inaugural and annual wrong. He definitely did it wrong.
Well, I don't remember the situation, but
He was saying it was his inaugural beat Drew in the playoffs.
oh, okay. Did he say that? He must have just messed up. I think he definitely meant annual.
Yeah, unless he was trying to say it was the first time of many that he's going to do it, but it doesn't really check out because he's done it twice already.
Yeah, I think he definitely meant annual, and I think we need to never let him live that down because anytime anyone messes up about anything, Mike is the first to let them know they messed up,
Yeah,
which is
100%.
natural. That's what friends are for.
Yeah, kick you when you're down. Like you make a genuine mistake, we're going to beat it to death.
Yeah, we want you to know your place.
Yeah, below me.
Exactly. So those are that wraps up my traveling Pats peeves with Italians are the worst travelers ever. It's not close.
Well, it sounds like they're bad people in general.
Well, I didn't say that.
Well, I mean, we kind of went on a 10-minute tirade about how much you hate Italians and
That's not where I had that going. I wouldn't say bad people. I'd say they're very welcoming. When you go to an Italian person's home, very welcoming. They want you to be fed. They want you to be included. Um, that's very welcoming. However, they get in a big group of people, a little nauseous.
How many Italians do you know?
I know a few. I
You
know
know, me.
three for sure.
Classic. Nice.
Yeah. All right, so that's enough about traveling. Let's get into a little college basketball. Um, National championship just happened. Florida versus Houston. You have any thoughts?
Houston should have won that game probably. I kind of feel bad for Kelvin Sampson because he's been right there. I think a lot of stuff I've seen is they're the favorites to win it next year. You know, the
Yeah, I
two,
mean they're the favorites to win it every year.
yeah, closest they've been though.
Definitely closest they've been. I mean, Florida was my pick. I'm glad I picked them because it redeemed my bracket a little bit. I didn't end up finishing in last. If they would have lost in like the Elite Eight, I definitely probably would have been last. So, thank you for taking that responsibility from me. Um, shout out, shout out Two Sticks. What an iconic run. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't think we're giving it the credit that it deserves. I mean, fantasy basketball championship and then winning the bracket back to back. I mean, he's on a generational run right now.
the only reason it's not getting more credit is because he's annoying as fuck.
Yeah, no, he's giving the credit himself. So he's not going to get it from us, obviously.
Like, what more could I possibly say that he hasn't already said himself?
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, he's not wrong right now. The chosen one thing, that's different. But hey, he's talking the talk and he's backing it up.
You mean El Guerrero Elegido?
Yes, exactly. God's chosen warrior. Oh man. But good March Madness overall. I think the tournament needs a little work with the NIL stuff, but that's not in our control. I do want to talk about UNC a little bit. Uh, we made it in the tournament. Some people are cool with that, some people aren't. We made it. I don't care. We did lose Elliot Cadeau, Jalen Washington, Cade Tyson, and Ian Jackson in the transfer portal already. So Elliot Cadeau, starter. Ian Jackson, kind of a starter. Definitely would have been a starter. Jalen Washington kind of came off the bench, yada, yada, yada. Doesn't matter. But we gained a 7-footer from Arizona, Visar, however you say his name. So that's definitely an upgrade because we needed a big. He's a 7-footer and he played pretty well. And then we got a sophomore guard from Colorado State and Kyan Evans, who's uh, definitely bigger than Elliot Cadeau was because there's no way Elliot Cadeau was even 6 foot. And this dude's a pretty good shooter. So, and what we lost in RJ, which, I'm not saying this dude's going to be another RJ, but he at least can shoot. I think in his last 12 games, he shot like 64% from the 3-point line, which is absurd. And all those last 12 games were like tournament games in their conference tournament, and they played pretty well in the NCAA tournament. So, like pressure games, he did really well. Um, the only one I that's really hurting losing is Ian Jackson, who was like our 5-star freshman. But he was supposed to be a one and done anyway, so we weren't really banking on having him for a sophomore year. So all in all, it is what it is.
Yeah. Is Seth Trimble staying?
Seth Trimble decided to come back, and I do like Seth Trimble. I think, he's not the best scorer in the world, but it's largely because of his role. Like you had RJ, you had Cadeau, you had Ian Jackson, so he was really like the fourth or fifth option. And really only scored on like fast breaks, but he's like an elite defender, and really good finishing around the rim. So I'm excited to see what senior year kind of brings for him. He's definitely not a point guard, um, more of a slashing two. So we'll see kind of what role he fits in, if he's going to be a starter or if we pick somebody else up in the portal, however that's going to work. But yeah, so those two people getting those in, I think those are pretty high profile transfer guys. So I'm glad we got them. I'd like to get another guard, um, and then probably like some kind of other another big. That'd be big. Big would be big. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Syracuse does, what they try to do around Ian Anthony.
Yeah, so the freshman you guys have, do you know if he's going to try and declare for the draft or if he's coming back?
I honestly don't know. He he was hurt a lot of the year, so I feel like that is going to hurt his draft stock.
Yeah. And I feel like
It's one
the
of those things.
era in college basketball today where they can make so much money, like if you're not going to get picked as a high first rounder, like you might as well stay.
Yeah, I don't know if because some of these schools are shelling out so much money, and I don't think Syracuse is going to be willing to really do that.
Yeah, I
Um,
saw somewhere there was like a handful of college rosters that have a $10 million roster, which is crazy.
there are reports that BYU paid two transfers $8 million between two guys.
Yeah, I don't doubt it because they got that the number one ranked uh, recruit coming out of high school. He's a five-star Debisanya or something like that.
And they
Commits to
got
BYU, which was crazy.
just got the guy from Oregon to transfer.
Yeah, they got all that Mormon money.
Christ pays, bro.
It's the Lord pays. Um, maybe we'll see Mike start to become a BYU fan now.
Well, he probably already is a BYU fan.
All right, let's talk NBA a little bit. So the projected playoff bracket is out. Obviously, it's not finalized or anything yet, but it's getting pretty close. And it looks like the Lakers, I think they locked in the three seed, but it looks like they're going to play the Warriors, which is not locked in yet, but that's what's projected. How do you feel? How do you feel about that matchup?
Well, won't it have to be determined by the plan, or is
No,
that
because
just the
it'd be three
Warriors?
six. Yeah, it'd be 3-6. Lakers would play Warriors if it pans out like that.
I mean, the Lakers are a much better team, but it's always, yeah, you can't escape Steph in the playoffs. Like we've run
I
into
know.
him in the play-in, and so it always makes me a little weary just because Steph has had his number. I mean, he's had much better teams in the
True.
playoffs. Um, but yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It's almost like the NBA made it happen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm with you. I think the Lakers are a much better team. I think the Warriors adding Jimmy brings a lot of playoff experience. I don't know how it's going to pan out them together, but he definitely brings playoff experience, and playoff Jimmy. Um, and Steph, like you said, I mean, Steph's the greatest shooter in the history of the world,
And it's
and it's
not
really
close.
not close. Yeah. I saw a funny clip where it was Steve Kerr talking to Buddy Hield after Buddy Hield did some, dumb fast break and didn't pass to a wide open Steph on the three. And Steve Kerr brought Buddy Hield back over to the bench and he's like, Buddy, Steph, like, I'm introducing you guys to each other. Buddy, this is Steph. Steph is the greatest shooter in the history of the world. If he's open, pass him the ball. It was just funny the interaction that happened.
Classic Steve Kerr.
Classic Steve. But I could see a world where, the Lakers played the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals. Good.
The Thunder don't really worry me. Um,
No?
Not really. They're so young and they haven't done it yet. So, but also you can't do it till you do it.
Can't do it till you do it, and they're good. But I agree. I mean, I don't think the Thunder are as much of a threat as like the Nuggets in previous years, who were kind of like juggernauts.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Who locked in the two seed?
The Rockets.
Pretenders.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna make it super far, and I think the Timberwolves are playing somebody. I think they're playing the Grizzlies in the play-in. That's projected, obviously, but if the Timberwolves come out of that and play the Rockets, like I could very much see the Timberwolves beating the Rockets and would play the Lakers in the next round if the Lakers beat the Warriors, I believe.
I'm pulling up the bracket right now as of today.
Yeah. So
If
yeah, I'm looking at it, and if the Timberwolves beat the Rockets, they would play the winner of Lakers Warriors. So I mean, if they get past the Warriors, I think that's a good path. The Timberwolves, I think, lost a lot with Cat. I don't think Julius Randle was an improvement, truthfully.
Not for that fit, not for that team. I mean, but it was
No.
for the Knicks though. It was an improvement for the Knicks, I feel like.
Oh, absolutely. I think the Knicks absolutely won that trade. But I've never been a huge Julius Randle fan. Obviously, he, plays well and gets numbers. I just don't think he's a great glue guy.
Another interesting potential sleeper, I think, is the Clippers if they're healthy. I could see them
If
beating the
they're
Nuggets,
healthy. Yeah, I mean, the Nuggets, they just fired their coach. They're not
which
very
is
deep at
wild.
all, which is crazy to happen right now. Something must have happened.
I mean, you're the four seed and you're 2 years off of a championship, the winningest coach in your franchise's history, and then
Yeah,
just let them go.
something must have happened. Like I said, I don't know. But on the Eastern Conference side, I mean, I don't really see a world where the Celtics make it out or don't make it out of the East. I mean, there's good teams, but the Cavs, I think, have had a great season. Um, but I could see them losing to like Milwaukee in the second round, to be honest.
Yeah, Milwaukee's another one of those teams that's a sleeper, which is
Yeah, I
crazy to
mean,
see.
they're a little older, with Dame and stuff, but if they have a good series, they can beat most teams. If they have a good series.
Absolutely.
But if you had to put a paycheck on it right now, who's your NBA Finals champion?
The Celtics.
Celtics, yeah, I think the same. If I had to put a paycheck on it, I'd definitely take the Celtics to repeat. Now, another question before we jump into a commercial. If the Lakers, for some crazy reason, win the championship, does Braun go out in his Cinderella story?
I'm gonna say yeah.
I'm gonna say yeah too.
I'm not ready for that though. I hope. Yeah, I'm not ready for that. The Bronze Sexuals chat is gonna go crazy.
I love the Braun sexuals chat. But yeah, I don't know because obviously not ready for him to retire because I don't even know who I'd root for to be honest with you. Um,
I mean, I do. I'd go back to just being exclusively a Bulls fan, and then my life would suck in every sport I watch.
yeah.
It's actually that's
Um,
not true because the Mets are playing really good right now.
isn't it?
But that
Didn't spring training just finish?
there's been like 12 games in the regular season.
To have played good for 12 games. Um, but yeah, I mean, how storybook would it be for LeBron and Bronny to win a championship together and then him retire right after that? Like, it would just be so storybook. I truly hope it happens. And
Yeah, me
there's no
too.
decline.
Honestly, not to be a, a whatever, but I'd probably tear up a little bit if he retired on a
Oh, yeah.
championship.
Yeah, like, I think a lot of people would. That would be a crazy moment. But it would just be
Uh,
so storybook, and then we wouldn't see the decline. Like obviously, we know the headlines of him not averaging 25 this year, and it'd be the first time since his rookie season that he didn't average that. But I mean, let's be real.
Bro, for 95% of history, his numbers are MVP numbers this year.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying that he had a bad
Like,
season. I'm just saying that he didn't average 25.
well, technically, He averaged 24.4 and Bronny averaged like 2.2. So technically LeBron James averaged over 25 points a game.
I think that should count. That should count for something.
Like why else would you have your son in the NBA?
Yeah, the only reason he's groomed him for this moment.
Just be ready for the Tyler Caproni and child men's league matchup. Like when I get my child, whenever I have a kid in the men's league with me, and it's just dynasty time.
Just dynasty time.
I'll
That'll be something.
I'll be coming off my 20th straight year of being in the top 10 score, and Drew will have finished his 20th year of averaging below 1 point a game. Boom, roasted.
And Bryce will still be making the schedule. All right, dude, let's jump into a commercial and hop on the next one.
Welcome back to Sammy and Marissa's husbands, part three of the episode. I have a little message to convey to you all from a friend of mine. Here you go. Ana akrahukam jamin ayuya albaid kithran la ulik abdan ila halakatina.
All right, and we're back. Thanks for that sponsored message in, I believe, some form of Arabic.
That was Arabic.
That was Arabic, all right. No idea what that friend said, so would you like to enlighten? Actually, let me take a guess.
Okay.
Um, I am gonna guess that you said something about God's chosen warrior taking over the Holy Land.
No, I didn't. That would have been a good callback though. It says I'm not gonna say I said because remember this was submitted to me. I'm just the messenger. It says, I hate all of you white people so much, never commenting on our episodes. I don't know why it's written in that way because I know I didn't write it and I know Trey didn't write it, but interesting.
That's definitely interesting. But I'm glad he's on our side, whoever it was.
Yeah, yeah. Is a silent partner.
With that, get in the comments.
Yeah, get in the comments. Let us know how you feel.
Yeah.
Did you
All right.
listen to the
So
last episode?
say that again.
You listen to the last episode?
Yeah, it's terrible. Couldn't finish it.
Did you at least make it? Did you make it to when Allie was on?
Yeah, I made it to when Allie was on, and honestly, I think that was worse than you talking about yourself.
It's a good thing she
Props to
is.
her for coming on. Honestly, it's the effort that counts, and I'm glad she, came on and at least, you know, uh, catered to us or whatever a little bit and just put in the effort to come on the show. I do like the Reddit story thing. And truthfully, it's not always your fault. Sometimes the Reddit stories just don't pan out how they were. But overall, glad she came on. It was nice.
The little inside baseball for everybody. The reason Wes wasn't on is he told me he told me yes, and then he said I can't. I'm going to spend time with Allie. So naturally, I asked Allie, and she came on.
That's awesome. And I did hear that there was an appearance from Naked West.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad we don't show video.
Yeah. Not that anybody that listens, it would be their first time, but yeah,
True.
true. Okay, so let's get into random cues. I'll go first. I do have a few random questions. It was just random things I was thinking about, and the last few times we've done this, we haven't really had time a lot. We've done it kind of separately or whatever it may be. Um, so how do you feel about people buying things from Goodwill and flipping them for a product? It's not plenty.
Uh, oh, I was gonna say I do that.
Yeah, like
That
what are your thoughts?
that I don't care about because Goodwill is a for-profit company.
Okay,
Um, Now if you went to like
like the
something that was for
Salvation
sale,
Army.
Salvation Army is also for profit. Um,
Really?
yeah, stores that aren't for profit, Habitat Restore,
Mm,
not. But also, two ways to think about it because if you go in there and buy something, the money from Habitat is going to go to helping somebody. Like if you go into Vintage Values and buy something, that money is going to go towards women who have been abused. So it's kind of, if you leave it open to a place where anybody can go in and buy it, I don't have an issue with it. Like if they were
okay.
taking from somebody, like if you were impersonating a poor person and getting something and then trying to flip that, that would be different, I think.
Okay. I like that thought. I don't know how I feel about it. I originally thought like, maybe it's a little distasteful because you're going into a place that's traditionally cheaper than normal. Uh, so those underprivileged people could buy things, but um, I get where you're coming from that they are a for-profit company. So like if you buy something there, that money goes to them versus going to yada yada. But then I also see your point about like if you buy something from Habitat, then that the money doesn't go to Habitat like the corporation, it goes to a foundation in a sense. So I see your point. And that makes sense.
Yeah. Did you want to rattle off a couple? You said you had a lot, or do you want me to go into mine?
Sure, I'll go again. Um, if you worked airport security, would you ride a bike or would you ride a Segway Paul Blart style?
Paul Blart style, 100%. Never been on a Segway, so I'm taking the opportunity. I'm Paul Blarting it up, and I'm tracking people down like I'm riding it, and then I'm jumping off of it. Paul Blart style, maybe RKO somebody. I'm in it.
You should dress up as Paul Blart for Halloween.
I know this is contrary to like what a bunch of people have personally said about me randomly, where they've called me fat. I'm not big enough to be a Paul Blart. Like, I would just look like a, you know, slightly overweight guy because that's what I am, slightly overweight.
Speaking of slightly overweight, how's the weight loss journey?
I'm kind of stuck at 246. I haven't been, obviously I'm still down 10 pounds, but uh it hasn't been I've slipped on my diet a little bit. That's what this podcast is about, transparency.
Yeah, those non-alcoholic Sam Adams don't help.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm escaping. Well, the thing about that is though, you don't after you've had two, you don't have a desire to have a third one.
It's fair.
Like, so I'm not gonna have 11 non-alcoholic beers. Um,
Okay, makes sense.
and I've been going to the chiropractor for my foot. I've done
Hmm.
4 treatments. I have another one on Tuesday, and it's helping, but it's slow.
Yeah,
But he
that's
he
fair.
said he thinks I should be like good to. He told me I'd have to wear arch supports when I run for the rest of my life.
I mean, that makes sense.
Because it's like there's like a structural issue with my foot now at this point.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, investing in some good arch supports might be a good thing.
yeah, he said the only time I would be doing physical activity and not wearing them is when I play basketball. He said it would be too uncomfortable for me, like jumping to wear them.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to wear the same ones. You can definitely get some better soles, I'd say, than just like the traditionally flat, and then maybe just change your shoe from a traditional basketball shoe to something with like a little bit more support. Because let's be real, you're not out there high flying with the rest of the guys.
Not yet.
Not yet. Get down to like 225, and we'll start talking.
Yeah. But he said he thinks I should be, getting back to running by the summer, which is what my goal was. So
Okay, nice, nice. And
so
that'll
potentially
help. Just being able to get out there and move a little bit more
I'd like to
will
do that
definitely
beer
help
mile.
you. The beer mile would be sick.
Non-alcoholic beer mile, but
Classic. Still the same concept, I'd say.
yeah, it's still gonna suck to run drinking something like that.
Yeah. Um, okay. You got a random question?
Yeah, this one is I you were I don't know if you I'm sure you know who Val Kilmer is, right?
Say that again.
Val Kilmer, do you know who that is?
Val Kilmer. The name sounds familiar, but no, I don't know off the top. Is he an actor?
He is an actor. Have you seen Tombstone?
Yeah.
He plays Doc Holliday in Tombstone.
Okay. Yep, definitely.
Um, he died a couple of
Oh,
days ago, and so that kind of made me think about like westerns because Tombstone is my favorite western of all time.
yeah.
Uh, what is your favorite western?
Ooh. Uh, I'm not as big of a movie aficionado as you, but the most notable is definitely Tombstone. And
Yeah,
I'd say it's probably my favorite as well. Um, but other Westerns, not really any coming to mind, to be honest, because it's not really the type of movie that I watch.
yeah. There's another good one, Open Range.
Open
Drew,
Range, I'm not sure if I've seen that.
that's Kevin Costner.
Okay.
You know that dude fucking loves that time period. So,
Yeah, no doubt.
um, Drew put me on both of those. Also, you've got Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood and Morgan Freeman,
Okay.
another classic. Pretty much anything Clint Eastwood did in the 60s is going to be
What's
uh,
one there's one about Billy the Kid, or am I getting Tombstone confused?
Billy the Kid is City Slickers, or not City Slickers, Young Guns.
Young Guns, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
That's a
I've
good movie.
I've seen that one. And that
Young
one definitely.
Guns, they're it's see, this is the type of shit that makes me feel like we are 100% living in a simulation because me and you have never spoke about Young Guns in our lives.
No.
And they just announced like 2 days ago that they're making a Young Guns 3.
Oh, really?
So there's something in the source code going on right now because I know for a fact we've never spoke about that ever.
No, definitely not. I've
Yeah.
probably never even said the movie title Young Guns ever in my whole life.
I don't
That
like
was the
it.
first.
I don't like what's going on right now.
One, two, three, four.
Yeah, simulation, bro.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. So this question has been floating around the March Madness time. And I don't think we've actually talked about it on the podcast, but who's the worst player in the NBA right now that could take a 16 seed to a national championship?
I've seen that clip, and I do think it's more people than you think. Um, like obvious guys, LeBron, Luca, uh, Anthony Davis, if he stayed healthy, could do it. Jokic very easily could do it. He would average a 50-50-50 triple double. He would, um, I don't think Russell Westbrook right now could, but Russ in his prime easily, not even close.
Yeah,
Um,
you got to
I,
think those teams are good teams. However, they
yeah,
just can't compete with the Floridas. But if they had like a legit superstar, like they very well could. Uh,
like Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, both of those guys could. Kristaps Porzingis probably, honestly. Who's going to
yeah,
guard him?
maybe that's true. I was thinking like, on the less superstar, and I know he's playing and having a crazy year, but like a Darius Garland,
Yeah, who's going to stop him?
I mean, he can shoot from anywhere. Um,
You know, on that same team, Donovan Mitchell,
yeah. What about
a
like
guy
a
who
SGA?
easily, very easily,
Okay.
guys that, like say we're on the Cavs, like Jarrett Allen's all-star level player, but I don't think he's going to take a 16 seat just because they're not going to dump the ball to him, and he's not like a one-on-one scorer like that.
Right.
Obviously, he'd have 15, 16 blocks, 20 rebounds.
Yeah, but if you get a
Are,
team that can really shoot from the outside, he's really not going to impact the game to the
yeah,
point where they're just unbeatable. Um, yeah, the bigs are hard uh, because especially those bigs that aren't really on both sides of the ball. like Jokic is pretty obvious if you throw the ball to Jokic. There's not an NBA player in the world that can stop him from scoring. Um, so there's definitely not going to be a college player. But yeah, I don't know. I was thinking like Darius Garland might be like the level, like that might be like the last one.
I think you can go even lower than that.
Yeah, Tyrese Maxey.
Probably. I mean, who can stop him?
Yeah,
Like it depends on like also conditioning is going to come into play because if you can give a guy the ball every possession and he just score.
yeah. I think it comes like point guards come to mind because they can score at will, but also they can like facilitate the offense like no other. Like even like a Chris Paul right now, probably not just because he's older and stuff, but like that type of player where they can basically dictate the entire pace of the game, run the pick and roll to where it's essentially unguardable.
Chris Paul right now could get a 16 seed to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I know UNCW wasn't a sweet 16 seed, but do you think Chris Paul on UNCW right now takes them
Yeah.
to the Final Four?
Yeah, you're talking about an 11 seed now or 12 seed, 14 seed to the
Yeah,
play.
but in reality, they're probably, at the same level as some of those 16 seeds.
Or potentially at the level of some of those 10 seeds. Like all that 10 through 16 is all fluid to me.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, Chris Paul at this stage, it's like that song, you know, not as good as I once was, but as good once as I ever was. Like Chris Paul motivated right now. Who on Texas Tech is going to stop him for one game?
I don't know. I don't know. But you think Chris Paul could do it, but not Russell Westbrook?
No, I don't. I don't. I think Russ Westbrook could take a team farther right now.
Okay.
Uh, Russ could. Russ is one of those guys. If he fucking wants to, he still can. Like
Yeah,
they're already trying to scapegoat him in Denver. I don't understand what like fans' problems with Russell Westbrook is. I fucking love Russell Westbrook.
yeah. I don't know.
I would love Russ to be on a team that I rooted for. I rooted for him when
Yeah,
he was on the Lakers, unfairly treated on the Lakers because NBA fandom is so fucking toxic. They also a lot of people that watch basketball have never played it at any kind of level and talk all the shit would get their ass busted 16-0, 12-0 by both of us. So,
that's true. Much less someone that, play high level college, NBA, like the players that are playing overseas who don't have a fighting chance to even get in the league would be the best players that people have ever could even imagine seeing.
yeah, and like we're just men's league all-stars. And I don't say that lightly because I am for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you got another one?
Yep. Tonight is I don't know if you watched it, The Return of the Last of Us.
Mm-mm, I didn't.
So that made me think, give me your top three HBO Max shows.
Oops, HBO Max. Now I got to think of what's on HBO Max.
Or you could go any type of original show, I think would open it up a little bit. Like a Netflix original, HBO original, Hulu original,
Okay,
Prime.
well, I think HBO Max. We really like Mayor of Kingstown. I think that's HBO Max.
That's Paramount Plus, but that counts.
Okay. Yeah, I like Mayor of Kingstown a lot. Um, Handmaid's Tale.
I think that's a Hulu original.
Yeah, I think so. I liked Handmaid's Tale. It was definitely different. Honestly, a new season of Handmaid's Tale just came out. Um, and I'm definitely gonna watch that. And then let's see. I mean, Netflix originals and stuff like that I'm thinking of is like Outer Banks. I mean, definitely not in my top three, but I did like Outer Banks. It definitely got a little far-fetched at the end and kind of corny, but the first couple seasons I thought were pretty good. Um,
While we're on Mayor of Kingstown, I watched like the first couple episodes of that and I liked it.
mhm.
The first episode, like that twist at the end of the first episode, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. That's a good show, and like it keeps the good like plot throughout the seasons. A lot of shows like go on and then they'll go to a new season and they just weren't prepared for another season of the show, so it just kind of gets strung out. But I feel like where they took the show was really good.
I'm
Um,
I'm gonna I'm gonna stay on HBO Max. I'm gonna go in no particular order. Last of Us, first season I thought was amazing. Then I'm gonna have to go Thrones.
yeah.
I might be lying. I might have to go off of HBO. Tell her to shut the fuck up.
It's the computer chair.
Oh. Ooh, this is tougher than I thought it was gonna be.
I know it's hard to think about shows that are like originals.
I'm sure everybody's screaming at their TV though, or yeah,
Yeah,
because we
yeah.
get watched.
Screaming at their TV for sure.
I'm gonna go the Penguin.
Okay. I haven't seen it. I've heard good things about it though.
Yeah, it's a great show.
Okay. All right, I like it. All right, next question. Um, does setting a charge and getting dunked on hold the same weight as jumping to contest and still getting dunked on?
No. I mean, you still got fucking dunked on. You still got posterized. You can still talk shit.
Hmm.
But if you contest somebody and they still dunk on you, way more impressive.
Yeah, but like, do you get any points for at least jumping?
No,
No.
no. I think you should lose points for not jumping though.
I agree. I think you don't gain points from jumping, but you definitely lose points for just trying to take a charge. Um, so you definitely still get dunked on. Okay, our thoughts are very similar there. Okay. You got another? Or you want me
What
to go with
what's
my
your
last one?
what's your book total for the year?
One.
One.
Still on it. I haven't finished. I
I'm
got like 50 more pages left.
I can't believe you didn't power through circumnavigating the globe.
Well, like I was powering powering through it. And then, all this stuff happened with, starting our next cycle at work and me trying to like get out of that job and then prep for moving and doing all those things that it turned into just not reading it because I just wasn't like when I sat down at the end of the day, I didn't get that feeling like, you know what, I'm about to freaking read about good old Ferdinand. And it's hard because the book should have been over like 200 pages ago, but they just keep dragging it on. So I got the premise, he like goes all the way around and then dies before he gets back. Spoiler alert.
What the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
I was gonna read it.
Well, now I saved you a lot of time and headache.
The I'm on book three,
Nice. Okay.
so I'm a little behind. The second book I read, the book I'm reading right now is called The Greatest Generation by Tom Brokaw. It's about people who served in World War II and lived through World War II. It's actually really
Hmm.
interesting. You probably like this book.
Hmm.
Um, but I should be way ahead of. I just kind of like fell off of it.
Yeah.
Like not this book, the second book I was reading because it was only like 150 pages. It took me like 2 months to read it.
Yeah, it's tough. And like you just have to make it a point to like sit down and read and like I just did not make it a point. So we're at the new place. The pace should slow down a little bit. I'll pick it back up. I'll finish this one, and I got a couple on deck. So hopefully I get back in the swing of things and start reading a little bit more.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Okay. All right. Last question for me. Which burner on the stove is your favorite or go-to?
Back right. Like if I'm looking at it,
Yeah.
we got four burn. Well, my stove has five burners. Um, my right hand, the one closest to my right side, back right,
Back right. Really? Is it a small one or a big one back there?
big one. Well,
Interesting.
I guess um front right.
Front right. Okay. I'm a front left guy,
Yeah, the front ones are the big ones typically.
typically.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say front right. I use the front left one. I the back ones I really only use to like make like tea or something or like a soup.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And
Interesting.
we have a warming one in the middle,
Yep. Same.
but I've never used it.
Okay. All right. Front right. I'm a front left guy. I think same as too. So like if we're cooking anything that's just cooking one thing on the stove, it's always front left.
I was a front left guy at the Keys because I think that was after a while the only burner that worked.
Nice, nice. Um, all right. That's about all I got for random cues. You got anything else?
That's it for me.
All right, Pat's Peeves. You got any?
I did have one that happened today, but I can't.
I got
You
I
go.
got one. I got two actually. The first one is that when I plugged in the cable from my U-Haul trailer into my truck, the truck gets all the sensors and stuff and tells me, and it pops up on the screen. It's like this is a 6x12 U-Haul trailer, and it was like it's overdue for 77 services. So that was sick.
I did not know that that happened. I mean, I've hooked up to a bunch of trailers, but they've been like big trailers.
Mhm.
I did not know that that connected to your car and told
Yeah,
you stuff.
I didn't either, but I get it plugged in and I get it all hooked up in the U-Haul parking lot. I plug in the lights so everything works. I checked out my signals, everything, and then I put it in drive, and then I get like a flashing thing on my screen. It was like this trailer is overdue for 77 services, and it was like you know wheel bearings, all kinds of stuff, and just as I was about to drive 700 miles across the country, so I was super pumped about that.
That's crazy. I don't know if I don't I wonder how accurate that is
Yeah, I don't know.
because I doubt they put all that stuff into like a system or maybe they have to because U-Haul's like a national company.
Yeah, no, I don't know if it's accurate, and maybe they don't. Um, so which is why maybe every single service that needed to happen popped up. But yeah, I was like, yeah, that's super sick. So I can't wait for this trailer to just fall apart because I'm 6 hours into this drive.
I have one and it happened last night. Um, and I don't want to sound I'm not, against women being like free in their sexuality or anything, but I generally feel if you're married, you should not do certain things. This is men and women, not just women. So I shouldn't have started that way. But we were out at the bar, and this girl who's probably like a couple years older than us came up to my cousin and her her boyfriend and his twin brother, and just started asking them questions about the size of their penises.
That's very interesting.
And then also one very forward.
Yeah,
Um, Obviously, you're trying to have some sort of thing happen. And then she started talking about her husband, and I was like, oh, I would be. pissed off if my wife was talking like this and I wasn't there. Well, I would be pissed off if I was there. But and then so she was like being very forward. And then later her husband shows up and then she like acted like she like completely stonewalled our group, which is fine. I didn't want to talk to her anyway. But it was funny. It was like you're being really forward about penises.
How the turntables.
Apparently you're not about that action because now you're scared because your husband's here.
Yeah, I mean, sounds like he wouldn't have been cool with that.
Yeah. I mean, that was pretty telling. Like if you're swingers or something, more power to you. But obviously they weren't.
Yeah, obviously not.
Kind of
That's
felt
that's
bad for him.
definitely interesting. Yeah, I feel bad for him too. That sucks. Um, all right, last Pat's peeve. Not really a Pat's peeve, just kind of a situation. We were in Walmart, which I hate grocery shopping at Walmart, but we had to get some other things that were just like house stuff, so we didn't want to go to two different places. So we're in Walmart, we're checking out, and like the cashier is like an older woman, probably at least like 70. But it just kind of made me sad that like someone who's probably someone's grandmother is having to like be a cashier at Walmart. And I say having to because it didn't really give off the vibe of like she's just there because she's bored at home and kind of wants to have a job because she like didn't really talk. She just kind of like sat there looking sad, bringing us up. Um, but I was just thinking about it and I was like, man, I hope my grandmother never has to go through that. Now, given I have neither of my grandmothers, so it doesn't apply to me.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought your grandmothers were dead.
Yeah, both of them. So it doesn't really apply to me. But like, if me and Sammy are, to that age, and then I have to be like, hey, you have to go get a job at Walmart so we can pay our bills. Like, I'd feel pretty shitty.
Yeah, I mean that's capitalism.
Yeah. I mean,
I mean for all its good things, if you don't, and that's just the way the economy has gone. If you don't excel and you don't save correctly, I think a lot of people are going to be in that situation.
hmm
Like, and especially it's kind of like a turn of how people work. Like my grandmother still alive. Well, both my grandmothers are still alive. One of them doesn't talk to me, stupid ass bitch. But the one that's alive, she worked in a factory and she gets her pension.
hmm
And then her husband, not my grandfather, but her second husband, worked at the post office, and he has a pension that she gets as well. So like they're taken care of.
hmm
Like there's not a lot of unions anymore. You can, I mean, there's pros and cons to being in a union, but you are taken care of if you stay with a union your whole life when you retire.
True.
There's really, I mean, really no debate for that. You are taken care of at the end.
That's true. Okay.
Like imagine your
Yeah.
great grandma going back to work.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I would give her money.
Yeah,
Like there's no way I would let my great grandmother work and thankfully I'd be in a situation where I could contribute and I feel like, people in my family could also contribute and we could take care of her in a sense where she had like, a place to live without having to work. I mean, whether that be like a home or whatever that may be. Um, but yeah, that'd just be like super. And I'd be going to visit your grandmother and then she's like, oh, I can't see you this weekend. It's Sunday morning and I gotta go check people out at the grocery store.
I gotta go to work. Sorry.
Yeah, so I don't
Pretty
know.
pretty lucky. I mean, my grandma's 86 and she hasn't worked in at least since she was 70, I think.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
that's good. Your great grandmother probably could work though.
Yeah. Speaking of 101, she just turned.
That's crazy.
Yeah, 101. So she's up there. All right, but closing comments. I watched on the plane White Men Can't Jump too. I don't know if you've seen it or not. Jack
I didn't
Harlow
watch.
is terrible at basketball. But
That's the thing I
overall,
appreciate.
the movie was funny.
That's a pet peeve for me. Like if you like the first White Man Can't Jump, Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes could play.
Yeah, no, it was very obvious that Jack Harlow can play basketball, but he's a good actor, honestly, and the movie was funny. So I would suggest you at least check it out. You will be frustrated, especially in the beginning of the movie when it's so apparent that he can't. Like every time he shoots the ball, they have to like cut it because he can't shot, and it just looks bad.
Yeah, like honestly, hit me up, movie studios. If you're looking for a guy in the background who can shoot a little bit, I'm not going to run back on defense. I'm not going to be a good actor by any means, but I will be objectively handsome and splashing threes.
Very subjective, very subjective. All right, but that wraps up another episode. And we will catch you next week. You got any closing comments?
Um, nah, nah, keep it creamy.
Keep it creamy. All right, until next time.
Bye.